So let's talk about one of the most powerful and ancient processes on Earth. It's this incredible biological engine that's been a silent partner in human civilization for, get this, over 12,000 years. It has shaped our food, our health, our entire economy, and it connects our ancient past to our high-tech future in some truly unbelievable ways. Okay, think about this for a second. What is the one single thread that connects a cold beer, a slice of cheese, life-saving insulin, and even the fuel in your car? I mean, they seem totally unrelated, right? Well, the answer, believe it or not, is a kind of microscopic magic that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time: fermentation.
So, to really understand how fermentation literally built civilizations, we first have to get a handle on what it actually is. And the science behind it? Well, it's a pretty elegant solution to a universal problem for all life on Earth.
You know, the great scientist Louis Pasteur, the guy who finally cracked the code of fermentation, he summed it up perfectly. He called it la vie sans air, which means life without air. And that is such a poetic, but also a really precise description of what's going on. To put it simply, fermentation is just how tiny organisms, think yeast and bacteria, make a living when there's no oxygen around. They eat carbohydrates, sugars, and they turn them into the energy they need to survive. It's basically their backup generator. So here's the biochemical problem that fermentation actually solves. Picture a cell trying to get energy from sugar. The first step is pretty easy, but it uses up this really vital molecule. Now, without oxygen, the cell has no way to remake that molecule, and the whole energy factory just grinds to a halt. It's a total crisis. But fermentation is the clever workaround. It takes the waste from that first step and recycles it to rebuild that vital molecule, which keeps the energy flowing. It's this beautiful self-sustaining loop, all happening without a single breath of air. And this whole process really takes two main forms that have completely shaped the way we eat. On one side, you've got yeast doing its thing with alcoholic fermentation. It takes sugar and pumps out alcohol and carbon dioxide. That's your beer, your wine, and all those bubbles that make bread so fluffy and light. Then, on the other side, you have bacteria doing lactic acid fermentation. They turn sugar into that tangy lactic acid, which is what gives us things like yogurt, cheese, and kimchi. Okay, so we've got the science down. Now let's go back in time. Because this wasn't a human invention, not at all. It was a partnership we just stumbled into right at the dawn of civilization. And it was a discovery that made society as we know it possible.
Just look at this timeline. The scale here is absolutely staggering. We have evidence of brewing from 13,000 years ago. Let that sink in for a minute. That is before humans even started farming. From the world's oldest wine in Georgia to the first fluffy bread in Egypt, fermentation wasn't just some random discovery. It was a foundational technology. It's what allowed our ancestors to preserve food, and that in turn made the entire agricultural revolution even possible. All right, our first major case study takes us to ancient Mesopotamia. This is a place where beer wasn't just a drink, it was basically a food group. They called it liquid bread. The Sumerians had this really fascinating method. They would bake a special barley bread called bapir, crumble it up into water, and just let it ferment. The result was this thick, nutritious, porridge-like beer, so thick in fact that they had to drink it through these long reeds just to get past all the solids floating on top. And this is where it gets really wild. Beer was the cornerstone of their entire economy. We have ancient tablets that show the laborers who built the great ziggurats and cities of Mesopotamia. Well, they weren't paid in money. They were paid in daily rations of beer. It was literally liquid currency. Now, while Mesopotamia was the land of beer, the mountainous region of modern-day Georgia became the cradle of wine. We're talking about an 8,000-year-old tradition that is, amazingly, still alive today. Their secret weapon is the kfevri. These are these massive egg-shaped clay pots. They're filled with crushed grapes, the juice, the skins, the seeds, the whole shebang. And then they're buried underground. The earth provides this perfect, stable temperature control for a really slow fermentation. It's a technique so culturally important that it's now protected by UNESCO. And right around the same time, another fermented staple was rising, literally. While lots of cultures had flatbreads, it was the ancient Egyptians who really perfected the art and science of leavened bread, making it light and airy and delicious. The Egyptians nailed a technique we now call backslopping. It's brilliant. They figured out that by saving a piece of risen dough from one batch, what we'd call a sourdough starter, they could reliably kickstart the fermentation in the next. This was a huge technological leap forward. It allowed them to consistently produce leavened bread and really establish this powerful link between baking and brewing.
Now, for thousands of years, all of this, it was seen as a kind of magic, right? A gift from the gods. But in the 19th century, that all changed. The mystery was finally about to be solved. So the big question is, who was it? Who finally pulled back the curtain and turned thousands of years of what seems like pure magic into modern science? The hero of our story is none other than Louis Pasteur, and his whole journey started with a really practical problem. A local brewer's beer juice was turning sour. So Pasteur put samples under his microscope and made this groundbreaking observation. The good alcoholic batches, they were full of these round yeast cells. The sour batches, they were full of these tiny, rod-shaped bacteria. This led him to his revolutionary germ theory of fermentation. Specific living microbes cause specific outcomes. It's as simple as that. And the practical power of this discovery was immediate. I mean, if bad microbes caused spoilage, then killing them would prevent it, right? This simple idea led directly to the invention of pasteurization, gently heating a beverage to kill off those unwanted microbes without messing with the taste. It totally revolutionized food safety and is credited with saving the entire French wine industry. No big deal. Pasteur's discovery basically launched us into the modern era. And the story of fermentation since then has really been a journey of increasing control, of moving from those ancient clay pots to these sterile, high-tech bioreactors. And this contrast just shows you how far we've come. The ancient method of backslopping, it was effective, sure, but you never really knew exactly what mix of wild microbes you were working with. Today, with what we call precision fermentation, we have absolute control. We can genetically engineer a specific microbe and turn it into a tiny factory, programmed to produce one single molecule with incredible purity. And the results of this precision, they're just astounding. This ancient process has moved so far beyond food. Today, these little microbial factories produce life-saving medicines like insulin and penicillin. They create renewable biofuels. They make biodegradable plastics. They even produce the enzymes that get the tough stains out of your laundry, all from harnessing these tiny, powerful organisms. It's just an incredible journey, isn't it? From a foamy pot of gruel in a cave somewhere to a sterile bioreactor creating life-saving drugs. Our partnership with microbes has absolutely defined our past, and it is building our future. The only question left is, what are we going to ask them to create for us next?